How are you? It's good to see you again. Well, today I'm at the farmer's market. You can see behind me some tents. People are selling different things. Sometimes at farmer's market they sell clothes that they've made, or they sell fruits and vegetables. There's somebody here who's selling cups of lemonade. So a farmer's market's a fun place to go and buy different fruits and vegetables or things that they make. I sell things that I make by knitting. So if you ever have a chance to go to the farmer's market, you should check it out. Well, today while we're at the farmer's market, I am going to read some stories to you from this book called Bedtime Stories. You don't have to listen to it just at bedtime. You can listen to these stories anytime. This is called The Family Treasury of Classic Tales. This is the bedtime stories. The first story in here is called The Emperor's New Clothes. Do you know what an emperor is? Yeah, it's like a king. An emperor is kind of like a king. Let's look at this. See the picture? Alright. The Emperor's New Clothes. And to see here, this is a loom. This is where they are weaving. On a loom you weave cloth. You take the string and you go back and forth, you make cloth. Many years ago there lived an emperor who laid so great a value upon new clothes that he spent all his money on them in order to be smartly dressed. He did not care in the least about his soldiers, took no pleasure in theater going, nor found a liking to drive into the wood unless he could show off his new clothes. He had a robe for every hour of the day. There was a merry life in the town where he lived. Plenty of strangers arrived daily, and one day there also came two swindlers. A swindler is kind of like a cheater, somebody who like cheats. So not good. They pretended to be weavers. I'm talking about weaving the cloth. Claiming they knew how to weave the finest fabrics imaginable. Not only, they asserted, were the colors and patterns uncommonly fine, but the clothes made of this stuff would have the amazing quality to become invisible to any person who is either unfit for the office he holds or unpardonably stupid. So if you weren't good at your job, if you thought, then you wouldn't be able to see the cloth. That's how fancy it was. Like, you couldn't see it. But remember, they're swindlers, so they're kind of like cheaters. Right? Those would indeed be splendid clothes, thought the emperor. By possessing them, I should be able to find out which men in my realm were unfit for the position they occupy, and thus I could distinguish the wise men from the fools. Yes, no doubt I must give them orders for that fabric to be woven for me at once. He handed the two swindlers a large fortune that they should set to work. They put up two looms and pretended to work, but they had nothing at all on the loom. See, there's no thread, there's no cloth, there's nothing there. Nevertheless, they called for the finest silk and the purest gold thread, but all this they put into their own bags, working on the empty looms until late. They were just pretending. So they're pretending, and they said, if you can't see our work, then you're not fit for your job. You shouldn't be at your job. And so really, they were making people feel silly if they didn't see the clothes, but there was nothing there. So they were swindlers. They cheated. No, I wonder how they are getting on with their weaving, thought the emperor. But he was quite uncomfortable at the idea that one might be able to see it. That no one might be able to see it. I will send my old loyal minister to the weavers, thought the emperor. He can best judge how the cloth looks, for he is clever, and no one fills his post better than he does. So the good old minister went into the room where the two impostors, that's like fake impostors sat working at the empty looms. God bless me, thought the old minister, opening his eyes wide. In truth, I can't see anything. But being a cautious man, he said nothing. Both the swindlers begged him to step near her, asking him if the patterns were not very pretty and the coloring beautiful. Thereupon they pointed to the empty loom, and the poor old minister kept opening his eyes wide, but he was unable to see anything because there was nothing to see. See? But if the old minister says, I can't see the cloth, then that means that he's not good at his job, and he doesn't want to lose his job. Because that's what they're swindlers, they're cheating. They're making people believe, even though it's not real. What's he to do? Goodness me, thought he, can it really be that I am so dull? I have never thought so, and nobody must know it. Am I not fit for my office? No, it won't do to tell that I cannot see the stuff. Well, sir, you don't say anything about it, asked one of the weavers. Oh, it is so nice, most charming, answered the old minister, peeping through his spectacles. What a pattern, and these colors! Yes, I am going to tell the emperor that both please me very much. Well, we are glad to hear that, said the two weavers, and then they named the colors and explained the strange pattern. The old minister paid great attention to everything that he might be able to repeat it to the emperor on his return, and so he did. Now the swindlers demanded still more money, more silk, and more gold for weaving. They put all of it into their pockets, and not a bit of thread was put on the empty loom. The emperor presently sent again another able official to learn just how the weaving was proceeding, and if the stuff would soon be ready. But he fared just as the first one. He gazed and gazed, but as apart from the empty loom there was nothing visible, he could not see anything else. Is this not a pretty piece of stuff? Asked both the swindlers, showing and explaining the magnificent pattern that did not exist at all. Stupid, certainly I am not, thought the man, so it must be my office for which I'm not fit. That would be queer enough, but never give oneself away. Therefore he praised the stuff he did not see, and assured them of his joy about the beautiful colors and the exquisite design. Yes, it is really most charming, said he to the emperor. Everyone in the town spoke of the magnificent stuff. Now the emperor wanted to see it himself while it was still on the loom. With a host of selected men, including the two loyal officials who had been there previously, he went to the two artful impostors who were weaving now with all their might, but without any strand of thread. What do you think is going to happen next? You see the king? He's got his new clothes. Why, is that not splendid? Said both the honest officials. May it please your majesty to have a look at the design and colors. And when they pointed to the empty loom, for each believed the other could doubtless see the cloth. What? Thought the emperor. I see nothing at all. This is indeed frightful. Am I stupid? Am I not fit to be the emperor? This would be the worst that could ever befall me. Oh, it is very nice, said he. It meets with my highest approval. Nodding contentedly and inspecting the empty loom, he did not want to confess that he could see nothing. The whole group that he had with him gazed and gazed, but did not see anything more than all the others. However, just like the emperor, each said in turn, "Oh, that is fine." And then they advised him to wear the new magnificent robes for the first time at the great festival. See, they're holding up, pretending to hold up cloth, and they're pretending to see it because they don't want anyone to think it's just, because it's supposed to be magic cloth, but really there's no cloth there. It is magnificent, pretty, excellent, went from mouth to mouth, and everybody seemed to be delighted with it. Each of the impostors was awarded an order of knighthood to be worn in their buttonholes, and the title of court weaver. The swindlers sat up all night long till the morning on which the feast was to take place. and they had lighted 16 candles so the people could see how hard they were working to get ready the emperor's new clothes. They feigned means to pretend. They feigned to take the stuff from the loom, cut out in the air with big scissors. They sewed without needles, without any threads, saying at last, "Look here, now the robes are ready." The emperor, with all his illustrious officials, went himself to both the impostors, who raised up one arm just as though they were holding something, and said, "Look, these here are the trousers. This is the coat. That is the shirt," and so on. It is as light as a spider's web. One might think they had nothing on the body, but that it is the very beauty of it. "Yes," said all the dignitaries, but they could not see anything, because there was nothing to see. "Will your imperial majesty condescend to take off your clothes," said the swindler. "Then we may put on the new ones here in front of the large mirror." The emperor took off his clothes, and the impostors feigned, remember feigned means to pretend, to dress him in one garment of the new robes after the other, which were allegedly finished. And the emperor turned round and round in front of the mirror. "Ah, how well they suit, how perfectly they fit," said all. "What a design, what colors! These are showy robes." "Outside they are standing with the canopy that is to be carried over your majesty," announced the Grand Master of Ceremonies. "Well, I am ready," said the emperor. "Don't the clothes fit well?" and turned himself round again in front of the mirror, for he wanted to make believe as if he were examining his new robes closely. And he wanted everybody to think he saw them, because if he didn't, then they were magic and he would be stupid. Alright? The chamberlains, who were entitled to carry the emperor's train, bowed down so as to lift up from the floor with their hands. They strode along and behaved as though they held something in the air. They dared not let out that they could not see anything. Thus the emperor strode about under the gorgeous canopy, and all the people in the street called out, "How matchless the emperor's new robes are! What a train he has to his robe, and how close it fits!" Do you see where he's walking? He doesn't have anything on. Everybody wants to pretend like they can see the clothes because they don't want to be told that they're silly, but there's nothing there because the swindlers, remember, are cheaters. So they've just been taking all the money, keeping it for themselves, not really making any clothes. Thus the emperor strode about under the gorgeous canopy, and all the people in the street called out, "How matchless the emperor's new robes are! What a train he has to his robe, and how close it fits!" No one would let it appear that he saw nothing else, for he would have been deemed unfit for his post, or very stupid. So the swindler said, "If you can't see the clothes, that means you're really stupid." But they were just lying to try to trick everybody. No other clothes of the emperor had brought about so much happiness as these ones. "But he has nothing on," said a little child at last. "Hark, listen to the voices of the innocent," said the father, and one person whispered to the next one what the child had said. "He has nothing on at all," at last shouted all the people. That stirred the emperor's mind. For the people to be right, he thought to himself, "Now I must stand the test." And the chamberlains walked on, carrying the train, which did not exist at all. And so finally, one little kid was like, "Hey, there's nothing there." But they just kept believing because they didn't want to think people were stupid, even though they were the silly ones for believing the swindlers. Well, the end. I wonder what happened to that king, and if anybody ever figured out that those swindlers were cheaters. Well, I hope that you like that story. Remember, it's always best to tell the truth, even when people say, "Oh, do this or you'll be stupid." You're smarter than that. You always know if someone's not really wearing clothes. You can always tell. Alright, well you have a great day, and I hope that you like the story of the Emperor's New Clothes. And we'll talk to you later. Bye.